I'm great, Hunter. How are you?
I'm doing great. I am talking to some of the best people in this country. So I am very, very happy today.
I'm glad to be here.
Yes, friend. I read a little bit about your bio here. Can you share a little bit more about yourself and your career journey to help folks meet us where we are right
Yeah, of course. First off, thanks for having us. Thanks for having me in Collins
now?
Aerospace
The
here.
royal
Uh,
we, yes?
yeah, the we. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody around. So as he alluded to, spent 20 years, just over 20 years in the U.S. Air Force. It all started on 9/11. I was a senior in high school, and obviously the events of that morning kind of, changed a lot of people's lives. And a lot of my friends, were joining the military, and I said, hey, why not? You know, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I knew I didn't want to go to college right off the bat. So I went down to the recruiter's office and spoke to my grandparents. They had both served in Korea and World War II, and decided to join the Air Force. Went down to basic training. Went to my technical training as a surveillance radar technician on the AWACS. Did that for about 6 years, and then I got a chance to get into recruiting. Um, I didn't know it at the time, but I would fall in love with it. But it was kind of chosen for me. But they sent me to Florida, which is great because there's that's back where I was from. Did that for about 3.5 years. Did another follow-on tour in Jacksonville, Florida. Another 4 years right there next to a beach. At the end of that assignment, they sent me back to go work on the AWACS in Oklahoma City, and I did some choice words and some kicking and screaming and crying, but everything happens for a reason. So I went back and worked on the AWACS again and supervised some awesome people. And through networking, at the end of that last session, I heard about how important networking was. I networked with the right people, and they got me a assignment in Tulsa, Oklahoma, to go be a recruiting flight chief. And at the end of that, I networked with the right people. About a year out from my retirement, started coming to events like this, and I was networked with Tony and the military recruiting team over at Raytheon, the former Raytheon Missiles and Defense, one of the RTX business units. And they didn't have any openings, but they got my resume in front of the right people here at Collins Aerospace. I was lucky enough to be offered a SkillBridge fellowship with the talent acquisition team, and at the end of that, I was offered a full-time position. Did that for about 3.5, 4 months, and then I was lucky enough to join the DEI team at Collins Aerospace to head up the military recruiting initiatives. And that's where I'm at today. I've been here for just over a year now, and absolutely love it.
That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing your story with us. I am very touched by the end of that part where, I've done some talks with folks at Raytheon. They're really amazing people over there. And the fact that though they didn't have any openings, it led you to where you are now. They were like, oh, we can send Gary in the right direction. And it got you to Collins Aerospace. And that was a mix of your networking that you put yourself out there with. And then also, I think that's a testament to folks watching out for other folks that they see potential in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's kind of what I've been doing my entire career. Sometimes it's not that way, but if I had a candidate that I just could not get into the Air Force, at the end of the day, we all wear the flag on our uniforms. And so I would walk them over to, an Army recruiter, Marine recruiter, whichever recruiter, had openings or would be able to qualify that individual candidate. And so it's the kind of the same way at the former Raytheon Missiles and Defense. So that team, they're not about a quota. They're not about a, hey, only join this business unit. They're truly in it for the veterans. And so what
Mm-hmm.
they saw was a veteran that was going through a transition, that had the stresses of, what am I going to do when I grow up? What am I going to do when I have this paycheck in? So they were really there just, to mentor me and give me, realistic expectations as to what the 12 months, the 18 months, the 24 months of transition would be. And so now, I'm kind of in that role. They were my mentors, 24 months ago, and now they're my coworkers and my
Mm.
friends. So it really is awesome as to what not only Collins Aerospace can provide veterans, but when you have that backing of the RTX brand, formerly Raytheon Technologies. So we've got partners at Pratt and Whitney and the Raytheon company. So it's really awesome to be able to employ veterans across the entire spectrum.
I love hearing that. And so since you've been at Collins Aerospace, what has been provided for you in that transition from military role into a civilian role? What resources have been offered up at Collins Aerospace that have helped you?
Yeah, great question. There's a ton of resources, and Collins and our RTX partners, we're trying to get better every single day. We identify some areas where maybe we have a weakness and an area to grow, and we work on that together and as unique businesses. But there's so many, resources that are available. So first off, there is the military, recruiting team or the veteran recruiting team that I alluded to, and that's how I ended up here. So we have a portion of our website. If you go to the RTX website and you go to the military page, you can sign up to join our community, our veteran community, and that basically says, hey, I've got technician experience, I've got HR experience, whatever you're looking for. And that's where, the veteran recruiting team can kind of start reaching out and saying, hey, we might have this opportunity. Would you be interested in applying? Or, would you be interested in talking to the manager about a SkillBridge program or full time? So there is that avenue. And we also have a veterans hiring guide. And there's just a lot of things that veterans don't know that they don't know until it's time to know them. And so what that veterans guide is something that RTX, the three business units and the enterprise of RTX came together. Obviously we just, changed our name. So we're rebranding everything right now, but a lot of the information stays the same. And it's really just to what to expect. We've been told what to wear, what time to show up for the last 4 years, 20 years of the world. You don't wear a suit and tie every day unless that's the, business attire. I generally wear, a polo. If you're going to a meeting or something like that, you wear a suit. But we just don't know as veterans a lot of the times what to expect. So what that guide does is it just kind of gives you interview tips, day one, what to expect, what are the requirements for certain positions, how do you network with people, everything like that. Now, once you get into the company, there's even more resources that once you onboard. And we have an employee resource group called RTX Vets. So, as you see, that's the ERG that I belong to. And what that is, it's a community of veterans and our allies. You don't have to be a veteran to be in our community. In fact, our executive sponsor is not a veteran himself. He just understands what value we bring to the company, and he wants to be able to be there and advocate for us. And so that's what the ERG is all about. And then another thing that we get at Collins and RTX is we're aligned to the mission. So Collins Aerospace provides a lot of stuff to the civilian aviation community, but also the military mission. Pratt and Whitney and Raytheon obviously are very aligned to the military mission as well. And so it gives that sense of satisfaction that we've been getting for the past time while we're in uniform, when we deploy, when we go do our mission. We stay close to that mission. We provide, essential tools, training, and resources to the warfighter of the United States and our allies. So that's really a cool thing, that you still feel that satisfaction and that sense of duty.
I love that. Yeah, there's so many resources there. Absolutely incredible. And that you can feel, I love that, that resource guide that you were mentioning can really help that transition of just kind of the meat and potatoes of civilian life. Like, what is this? Because you always wore what you wore, you were told what to wear, and now there's these things that it's up to you, or you have to follow certain cues, social cues, and all those things. It can be very strange because every company is different and every meeting has its own language that you have to navigate. So I love hearing that those resources are available to you and that they clearly have been helpful for you as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one
Yeah.
of the other things that I didn't mention on that ERG, there are veterans that are, in the company. And one of the members of our board, he's been out of the Army for 20 years. So he's got 20 years of military experience and 20 years of civilian experience. And so, he's able to kind of mentor me and kind of talk about career progression, talk about what the company's, philosophies are and principles are, and, how to take care of yourself as well as other people. So that's really an awesome thing, that you get that brotherhood and that sense of family in the company.
That is awesome. How can folks and veterans find opportunities at Collins Aerospace? What are ways that you would suggest folks that are looking to possibly join the team, how would they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So all of our jobs that we have are advertised on our public facing page. So if you go to collinsaerospace.com or rtx.com and you click on jobs, that's going to bring up every single job that is available at RTX. And again, RTX is the parent company of Collins Aerospace, and you can then divide it down by I want to be at Collins Aerospace, I want to be at Raytheon, I want to be at Pratt and Whitney, or corporate headquarters. So that's the way that you would find those jobs. But then the other thing that I would encourage anybody to do is to search around for the military and veterans page and then join that military community. That's where you have the opportunity to kind of upload a little bit about yourself, what opportunities you're looking for, what kind of hard and soft skills that you bring. And that way we can kind of get your information in front of a large plethora of hiring managers or potential hiring managers that may be looking for that niche skill set that you may have from the military.
That's fantastic. I'm curious, would you give any advice to folks and veterans considering the SkillBridge program? Was there anything that you learned, any lessons learned when you were doing it?
Yes.
Loaded question.
Yeah, that is a loaded question. There is a lot of programs out there. I can't even throw a number out there as to how many approved providers are out there. And there's more providers getting approved every day. I think on some other calls that I was on, I've heard the term Wild Wild West is thrown out there, and anybody looking for a SkillBridge probably feels the same way. What I would encourage anybody to do is 18 to 12 months prior to them, ETSing, retiring, getting out, ending their contract, is to really start going to some of these meet and greets. I just caught the last part of the last speaker, but she was talking about networking, and I cannot tell you how important networking is. If I just sent an email to, Collins Aerospace and said, "Hey, I want to do a SkillBridge," I'm hopeful that it would have gone somewhere, but realistically, it probably wouldn't have. You got to make that warm handoff. You got to make that networking with somebody that's going to advocate for you, and that's just the way of life. If you've got multiple people advocating for you and vouching for you, it's been that way in the military. And the term the good old boy or the good old girl club gets thrown around in the military sometimes. Sometimes for the good, sometimes for the bad. But if you can make that impression on a hiring manager, if you can make that impression on a recruiter, they're going to go off and they're going to send that resume to somebody. They're going to try to help you out. Now, obviously, the best candidate has to get hired. That's how companies like us, hire the best people. And we can't hire somebody that's not qualified. But if you're qualified for that position, and I look you in the eyes, we have a quick Zoom call or a quick Teams meeting, or I meet you at a job fair or some veteran hiring event, I'm gonna be like, wow, this is somebody that I really want to work with. I'm going to advocate to the hiring manager to bring this person along. So 12, 18 months, start doing that networking, start reaching out and getting your resume out to places. You need to have a general resume, but you need to do your own homework too, because nobody's going to advocate and do your job. This is your career, and you've got to be the proponent for yourself. Find out what you want to do when you get out of the military, and then start targeting your resume. Because if you just start broadcasting that resume out and it has nothing targeted as to what Collins Aerospace needs or whatever business that you're going to apply for, it's probably going to get filed in a bin you don't want it to be filed in. You want to find out what you want to do. You want to see what's out there. You want to see what the qualifications are required. And if you don't have those qualifications, you need to get those qualifications and let the military pay for those while you're in. That way you can set yourself up for success. Number two, make sure it's with a reputable company and try to get a referral. Try to talk to somebody that went through that SkillBridge program and said, "Hey, did you learn something? Did you learn a lot? Did you get a job offer? Did they treat you with respect, with dignity? Or did they just kind of throw you to the wolves?" And then, just do your own research. Research that company. Is that a company that you want to be aligned with? Is that a company that would interest you, would make you feel whole, inspire you to wake up every morning? I wake up every morning, and sometimes my email inbox is, like I'm taking fire from the enemy. but I know that every day my job is to find somebody a career. Somebody, I'm trying
Mm.
to help somebody not have the same stresses that I had when I was going through. So I feel that inspiration every single time that I help somebody, and that makes me feel inspired to come to work, and that's what, you know, finding a career that you like is all about.
I love that. I love hearing that you feel inspired helping folks, and that you're paying it forward as folks have done for you. What makes you feel most proud to work at Collins Aerospace? What gives you that extra that fills up your cup? Sorry, my dog's barking a little bit. Fills you up a little bit more each time, each day.
There's a lot. Going back into, my Air Force days, like one of the best things would be, you get that picture of that kid that you recruited, and you got them to basic training, and they wrote you that letter and they sent you the graduation picture, or when they made their first promotion. It's kind of the same thing here at Collins. You get that pride on what we do. Recruiters, we find the right talent and put them into the company, and we try to find the people that are going to be successful. And so when I get a SkillBridge candidate that didn't know if they were going to get a job, or I advocate for them, and we get them a fellowship, and then they're able to get converted over, and they go on LinkedIn and they write their praise messages, and I was like, man, I didn't do anything. I just kind of advocated for you. You did all the hard work. But that's really, really cool. When I'm trying to help somebody with that transition, and they see that and they recognize and appreciate that.
Mm, I love
And then when the
hearing that.
managers come back to me and say, thank you, like, not only was this the right thing of hiring a veteran, but man, they're awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that must be so rewarding when you're like, oh, each little piece that you did, helped that person along.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the really cool things about a company like Collins is, I might place one person in mission systems, which is one part of our company. I might place another fellow in, the contracts side of the business, somebody else in avionics, somebody else in interiors. So right now I've got fellows, all over the place. One person is at power controls and learning about the electrification of our, of the future of aerospace. Somebody else is on track to go work on the uh, the luggage compartment systems. How Delta Airlines and the rest of these companies are getting our luggage. Nobody likes to wait for their luggage. So if we can design a system, get luggage on and off faster, that's pretty awesome. So I'm learning about new parts of our company all the time.
I'm excited for that update. You let me know when that's rolling out.
Well, just wait for autonomous flight. I don't know if I'm ready for that, but it's going to be pretty exciting.
It's going to be exciting no matter what happens. If we're ready for it or not, it'll be exciting. What are ways that Collins fosters the inclusive environment and culture for veterans once they're on board? So we have these ERGs, we have these affinity groups. What are the things that are happening there?
Yeah, great question. I think everybody talks about DEI and inclusion, and making sure everybody feels like they're special. I think it all boils down to leadership. That is one of the main things that we look for as recruiters when we're doing a screening on a candidate. And then that's one of the things that a hiring manager looks at when they're doing an interview. It's not just can they do the job, it's do they meet the Collins culture. And if they don't hire them. They have to meet all of the qualifications to be a leader. And if they're not a leader, today, they have to be able to be a leader in the future. And inclusion and diversity is absolutely important. Um, Inclusion doesn't always mean agreeing with everybody. It's okay, and it's for the first time in my life, it's okay to not agree with your leader and still express that. So I'm very, very appreciative of having the leadership that we have on all the teams that I've been on since I've been here. And it's weird because for 20 years you didn't speak up. If you didn't agree with your leader, you just kind of bit your tongue and moved on. All the veterans on this call understand that.
Mhm.
But my leader, I don't always agree with her. And sometimes it's a blind spot and she doesn't understand. And I bring that and they say, wow, that's a really good perspective. Sometimes they say, thank you for that. I'm going to take that under consideration. But I truly and honestly believe that my leadership does care about my opinion. And sometimes they change, I change their mindset on things. And so it's really, really awesome to understand and respect the people that you work for, and have them understand and respect, your opinions and your values. And not everybody is always going to agree. But what everybody does on our team is they respect each other. We all have different opinions. Sometimes we don't look the same, talk the same, do the same things, but we truly and honestly respect each other. And that's awesome.
I love that. The things that really jumped out for me is when you said it all comes down to leadership and respect for each other. Those are two, it's so important, right? Because otherwise it's just lip service if we're not actually walking the walk.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'd love to hear about, we have just a couple of minutes left. I'd love to hear a bit about how military spouses can get involved in Collins employee resource groups.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that, I've been advocating for. We've identified that, this is maybe an area of non-strength. It's not weakness, because we do have people that want to get better. But it is an area that we've identified as we can get better, and we're working on that. Our RTX Vets group is working on that, as well as myself. I'm kind of taking this on as a project with other leaders. But I'm coming up next week is my 14th anniversary, my wedding anniversary. And every 3 or 4 years, thank you. I can't believe she put up with me that long. But every 3 or 4 years, all the veterans in this audience understand, your spouse just gives up their career, and generally they're going to hit the reset button. And I saw that, with my wife. She was a teacher, and so it's tough. If you don't have a portable career, it can be really, really tough. And you've got, master's and bachelor's degrees that are, working hourly wages, and just because their certification didn't get pushed over to that new state. So at the federal level, they're working on it. But here at Collins, we definitely are looking at that and trying to identify portable careers that we can move around, or remote positions, to be able to keep people in that place. Another awesome opportunity that we have is called the Re-Empower program. And what the Re-Empower program is if somebody has been out of their specialty for more than a year, that doesn't just have to be about the military PCS and moves. COVID happened a while ago. People, left their jobs to take care of family. I've seen my parents had to take care of my grandmother for a while. But if you've been out of your career and your profession for more than a year, Collins and RTX has a program, and basically we bring you in on a 14-week program, and we're going to reintegrate you back into the professional career. We're going to get you coaching, we're going to get you mentorship, and then we're going to get you accelerated kind of performance feedback to say, hey, this is where you're at today. We want you to be here by the midterm, and we want you to be here by the end of the program. And if you're successful at that, then we want to be able to convert you and bring you back into that career. That way we're not hitting the reset button, and you've got somebody that should be mid-career or upper career, coming back in at an introductory level pay grade.
That's awesome. A smooth transition on a trajectory that actually fits to where they're at, and not just hitting reset because they didn't go through a civilian framework to get into a job, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. When's your anniversary? Did you say 14 years?
Yeah, 14 years on the 21st next week.
Wow. So my partner and I are 14 years on Thanksgiving. So look at us.
Yeah,
and
when we arranged it around the Thanksgiving holidays and around the college football schedules. We had to make sure our family would be able to attend.
We did the first half. The second half, not so much with the football, but power to you. That's awesome. Congratulations. So cool. So we have just a couple of minutes left. What are some of the key skills that Collins team is looking for when you're going through candidates as you're recruiting?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's not one bucket that the ideal candidate falls under. I think the last time I looked at the job site, there was over 700 jobs in the U.S. with Collins. Obviously more overseas and more with all of the other business units. But the main thing that we focus on, the biggest need, is cleared talent. And that's a great thing about us leaving. Military vets generally are going to have 95% of the time, they're going to have at least a secret clearance. And there's a lot of top secret with polygraphs. So top tier cleared talent. If you got a TS and you got an engineering degree, we want to talk to you. I guarantee you that. Now, that doesn't mean that if you don't have a top secret and you don't have an engineering degree, there's no place for you. I do not have an engineering degree. I did have a top secret, but there's not many recruiting roles that require top secret jobs. So there are jobs at Collins that do not require that top secret or the engineering degree. What I would encourage anybody to do is just take a look at that job board and look at the requirements. You're going to see basic requirements and preferred qualifications. If you don't have the basic qualifications, generally we can't bring you in. But if you've got the basic qualifications and you've got most of the preferred qualifications, you would be what we would call a preferred candidate or a primary candidate. And definitely encourage you to apply and then to reach out to the community, and we'll try to vouch for you as best as possible.
I love that. So we're just about to wrap up. Gary, if you could go back in time, what one piece of advice would you give yourself before you entered the civilian career path?
I guess just start earlier. I literally was. It's a joke that I have with Bo, my buddy here in TA. But I was submitting. I had the email up, the website up. I was submitting my SkillBridge to another company that had accepted me. And he called me and said, "Hey, would you be interested?" And I'm like, yeah. But I would say start early. Try to identify those relationships as early as possible. Realistically, if you're separating in next December, I can't get you a SkillBridge now, but I can get to know who you are, and to be able to build that relationship with you and try to have a whole lot more time. So I think that's the only thing that I would do differently. I've had a very, very awesome career transition due to my mentors at Collins and at the other RTX business units, and then also at other companies, at all the networking events. I've been talking to other people at other industries and other companies, and they help out as well. So really just rely on your social network, and it's not just adding a random person on LinkedIn. Reach out to them and say, "Hey, I'm interested in you because XYZ." Not, "Hey, I see you're at a company XYZ," and then just add them. Try to build that genuine relationship, and then people will try to help you out.
Awesome. Awesome. Great advice. Great talking to you today, Gary. What is the best way for folks to connect with you and to keep the conversation going?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're interested in SkillBridge, SkillBridge at Collins.com. If you're interested in just kind of connecting and talking, LinkedIn. You can find me, Gary Halstead. But like I said, don't just add a random person. I'm going to respond and accept if you make it genuine, and show why you're adding me, and what you want out of it. It's all about having that purposeful networking experience and genuine connections with people.
Yeah. Little talking points. Gary, you were amazing today. I heard you at the Power to Fly Summit. I'd love to talk to you about X, Y, and Z. That's where you come in, friends.
Absolutely. And I'm glad to help. Like I said, Tony and my other mentors helped me out, and love to pay it forward and help out the people that follow behind me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today, Gary. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
All right. Take care now.